Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today is the day 24 for our Fortigate firewall series. So in this video, we are going to understand how exactly Fortigate works with AD authentication or AD integration, whatever you say. Okay. So in this video, we are going to understand what is Active Directory, why we need to integrate the Fortigate firewall with AD or Active Directory, what are the mode of authentication that we have in Fortigate firewall, how we are going to configure Fortigate for AD authentication. Okay, we'll test the user in the lab for real environment and understanding with I'll tell you about the packet flow as well as how you are going to perform a troubleshooting. So it will be really helpful for your real-time environment as well as for interview. So I'll request you to please watch this video till the end, and also I'll request you to please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a video from me. So without any further delay, let's get started. So friends, first of all, we'll understand what is Active Directory, right? Now directory meaning that if you remember the phone directory wherein we'll find all the phone numbers which is available, right? So same way directory is the information of all the users, devices, computers, I can say any other things as well. For in a layman term, if you want to understand what is directory, it's a database of the server or any other network devices like computer or any other devices. Okay, so the users will have their email IDs, their phone numbers, their name, their addresses, something like that. All this informations you will be finding in Active Directory. Okay, even about the printer information or the laptop information or something. Okay, now if you see this diagram closely, you will understand you remove this domain, you just understand it's a company. In company you will find all this information and which is managed by the Active Directory. Okay, now the question is why we have to integrate the Fortigate firewall. Okay, now as the Active Directory is managing all these users, laptop, desktop, why we need a Fortigate firewall to manage all this? Why? Because let's say a user wants to go to other zone of the network or another branch, they want to connect to another branch or they want to connect to internet basically. In that case, the firewall will get recognized that which user is accessing the internet or branches, whether we should give the access to them. In that case, the firewall come into the picture. That Active Directory cannot control that because he is not sitting in line for that particular traffic, right? So for that reason, the firewall has to come and he has to serve that. Okay, in a very simple word, let's say we have a PC, okay, and we have a firewall. We have a zone, let's say restricted zone, okay, and we have internet, we have branches. Okay, now this user wants to go to restricted or branch or internet, the firewall can control that, right? So if we integrate this Active Directory with firewall, what happens is the firewall will have all the control whether which user can go to which zone or which he cannot go to branch or restricted or internet, where he cannot go or where he is allowed. So with the help of that Active Directory information, we can get those information and we can control those access. Okay, so now let's understand how we can do that. So friends, there are two modes of authenticating. Okay, so once we integrate the Active Directory with the Fortigate firewall, okay, now we have to authenticate or we have to recognize the user, right? So there are two ways. One is called as active, another called as passive. So in this video, we are going to talk about active authentication, not passive authentication. Passive authentication we'll talk about in next upcoming video. Okay. So let's focus on active authentication, how exactly it works. We'll try to understand with the help of this diagram. Okay. So guys, in active authentication, what happens is, let's say we have a user in our network. So this user has logged in. Okay. After he logs in, and after that he wants to go to internet. Okay. So the traffic, when the traffic goes through Fortigate firewall, okay, the Fortigate firewall will prompt a screen with the username and password. Okay. The user has to put in his username and password. Then the Fortigate will go to LDAP server. LDAP server is nothing but your AD. Okay, Windows AD or whatever, Active Directory. And Active Directory, it will go here, it will check, and after that he will say whether the username password is correct or not. If it is correct, then only the traffic will be allowed towards the internet. Okay, so here I'll just rub this out. No need to see this basically. It will get, you'll get confused with this. Okay, so step 1, user logs in and he wants to go to internet. So it hits the Fortigate firewall. Step 2, the traffic or the username password, basically once he prompted with the username password, the user will put his username password. The Fortigate will send that particular information to LDAP server or the AD. He will check and he will revert with this. And once is authenticated, the firewall will check whether the rule exists or allowing towards the internet or not. And once it is allowed, basically the traffic will go to internet. So this is how the active authentication works. In the upcoming video, I'll be talking about passive authentication. Okay, so let's go into the lab and we'll try to understand how to configure this and how to troubleshoot it, how to verify those. We'll see in the labs. Okay, so let's hit the lab and we'll try to configure it. So guys, let's hit the lab now. Okay, so this is our lab, a very simple topology. Let's understand this. So port 1 is dedicated for management and which we will be accessing from our local PC. Okay, this is our LAN and this is our subnet wherein our PC is connected, meaning the test PC is connected, and our Active Directory will be connected through. And port 3 is dedicated for WAN where the internet is connected. So we will be configuring the Fortigate firewall as well as the AD. Okay, and with the help of test user, we'll try to access the internet and we'll see how exactly it is working. Okay, so let's go into the dashboard of Fortigate firewall. Before that, we'll do a little bit of configuration to Active Directory. I'll show you. I've already activated, or maybe I can say that the domain has been installed or the Active Directory feature has been enabled. We just need to create the username over here. That's all we need to do. If you want to see from the scratch to the end, I can cover it. You can comment in the video. I can cover during the next video once we do the passive authentication. Okay, so let's go into the dashboard of Fortigate firewall. Before that, we'll go to Active Directory. So friends, let's go to Active Directory now. Okay, so I have already installed the Active Directory feature over here. Okay, so you have to go to, I have created lab.com and in that you are seeing a user. Okay, now here I am going to create a group. Let's say I'll just create a group something like IT. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I will be creating a user and I'll be adding into that particular group. So I'll create a user, so IT1. Okay, and username will be IT1 as well. Next, so I'll just use a password over here. Next, finish, and I'll go here and I will be member of IT. Okay, so now I am the part of this particular group. So member INC IT1. Okay, and there are two options. Okay, if I want, I can use the administrator account in Fortigate firewall, or else I can create a new username and I have to give permission to that particular user. So I'm not going to do that for now. Okay, we'll be using the administrator. Like in real world, we should not be using administrator account. You will be creating a new user. Okay, it's not safe to use that particular administrator account. Okay, as this is a lab, so I'm just using this administrator. So where I'm going to configure, I'll show you. So from Active Directory point of view, I am done with the configuration. Okay, now let's move on and we'll go to Fortigate. So guys, as I just wanted to show you that this is the dashboard of Fortigate firewall. Okay, now you can see that the IP addresses are already configured. Okay, and this is a DHCP, so I don't need to configure any static routes to go to internet, because it gets the particular route from the default gateway itself. Okay, so that part is done. Now what we are going to do is we are going to add a LDAP server. So LDAP, whenever you see LDAP, you just think about the Windows AD. Okay, so we'll create that. Okay, now we can have a name of something. Okay, so this is just a name to recognize that particular profile. Okay, so I'm just putting at Windows AD, that's all. Or we can just say that LDAP account, right? So account and the server IP address. So how do I find the server IP address? I can go and run an cmd ipconfig, and we are using 20.100, right? So 192.168.20.100. Fine. This is the port number. Okay, if you are having your Windows server having some kind of encryption enabled, in that case the port number will be different. Or if the Windows server is listening on some other port number, mostly it works on this port number, but if it is listening on some different port number, you have to define that particularly. Okay, now here common name identifier, there is something that we have to understand in this particularly. Okay, now common name identifier. So how do the Fortigate firewall will try to retrieve the information from LDAP server? This is the basically way. Okay, now if you try to find that particular common name identifier, you just copy this and you can paste it to internet and you will get that particular string. So just copy this and basically you will be getting that particular name. So this is what I'm talking about. So it is easily available online. You can just copy this one basically. Okay, here it's a basic one and you have to try to log in, or you have to put it. So what is the name that we have configured over here? Let me show you. So this is lab.com, right? So lab.com is nothing but we have to type it like this. So domain controller is equal to lab, okay, or I can say lab, comma, domain controller is equal to com. Simple, right? It's a simple one, right? Okay. Now this is the Exchange server. Okay, we are not using the Exchange server right now. Okay, so I'm just not using it. Binding type are basically just try to make it regular. Okay, here you have to bind it with some username password. With that particular username password, the Fortigate firewall will try to retrieve the information from the LDAP. That you understand. Okay, so regular is nothing but it tries to retrieve the user information from server. So here we have to use the administrator. So we'll just type it as adminis. If you are having some difficulties, what I would suggest you, just go here, double click address or account, or I can say profile. Where is that particularly? Let me show you account. Okay, so here you are seeing administrator. So administrator @lab.com. Okay, so you have to type like this, something like this. Okay, so I'll just copy this, paste it. Okay, copy and paste it over here, apply it. Okay, so you just need to type this, copy and @lab.com, same thing that you have to type it here. Okay, so adminis TRATOR @test.com. Okay, so this is what it is right now here, or lab.com, sorry, it's a lab.com. So lab.com. Okay, and the password that you are going to use it as the same password you are going to use it over here as well. Okay, it's not a secure connection, so we are not going to enable this. We just test it. So as you can see, our connectivity between, so let me close this. So from Fortigate we have a good connectivity with Windows and we are able to connect it, as you can see, successful. Okay, now what was the password that was configured over there? We can test that connection user. So IT1, and the password that we have given is this one. Test it. Now our communication is correct, or it is successful, as well as the user credential is also. So as we can understand by seeing this, that we are able to reach the LDAP server or a AD server, and the username password that we have created is correct. Okay, and if you want, you can use it. Now it is retrieving all the information related to your, basically. Now what we have to do is we have to take the users. Okay, so as we have a connectivity right now, we'll take that particular account from user group right now, and then we'll create the policy. For now we'll just stop it here, and then we'll just save this configuration. Now we'll go to the user group. Okay, so friends, now we'll go to the user group. Okay, and we have a default user group, so we are not going to use that. We'll create a new, we'll just name it as user group. Okay, and we are not going to use the FSSO or radius single sign-on. We are going to use the firewall type right now. Okay, we'll talk about later regarding this one. Here we have to add the local user. We are not using for local authentication, we are using for remote authentication. So the users will come to the Fortigate, and Fortigate will go to Active Directory or LDAP server to check the user information. So we'll add it over here. Right now we have created the LDAP server or LDAP account. Here we are able to get all the user information. So we have created this IT. We are going to add this, and now you will be seeing that the LDAP account has been added with that particular group name. Now if you want, you can call more users as well, like more groups. So what you can do is you can add like this. So how the more the groups that you are going to select, it will be added over there. Okay, so here I have added the IT because in IT we have few users. Okay, so we'll click OK. Now we have created the user group here. Now let's move to basically the policy. We are going to create it now. Okay, so we have only one implicit policy, which is implicit deny policy. Let's create a new policy. So I'll be going from our inside to outside. Okay, now from port number 2 to port number 3. So port number 2 to port number 3 in the source. Okay, basically we will be calling the user group. Okay, and also because why we have to group external resource. Okay, now we are going to call the user group, as well as we are going to call the, now here in the user group we have to call some other account as well. The reason behind it, because so friends, without this will not function basically. Okay, so there are few parameters that you have to enter. Maybe you can add a subnet as well. Okay, it's not that you have to add the user group, you have to add some address group into this. Okay, so we have added all. Okay, and after that we are going to check or log all the sessions and we are good. Okay, so we have created this particular rule. Now we are going to test machine. First we are going to add this machine to a AD. So what we have to do is we have to go to control panel, system, change it, and before that we'll check whether our IP address are correct or not. So we'll go here and we'll check the IP address. So it is 10, right? We are going to check the interface. It is 20.10, right? So it has to be 20.10, and here we have to add our DNS or Active Directory IP address. So 20.100. Okay, now we're good. Okay, I'm going to close this, closing this, closing this, closing this. Now what we have to do is we have to change it to a domain. Okay, so lab.com, right? Now we have to join it as administrator. Okay, and we have to give the password basically. So now this PC has become the part of domain. We have to restart it. So I'm just stopping the video for now. Once it restarts, I will turn on the recording again. So friends, we have to give the same username and password which we have configured over here. As you can see, it is signing to lab network. Okay, so let's log in now. It is preparing the window, so it will take little bit of time. So I'll just pause the video again and I'll start it now after this. So friends, as you can see that the PC has been booted or logged in properly. If you try to see the login here, okay, so if you try to see, it is IT1. Okay, now let's open the browser and we'll try to connect to internet. Okay, so now once you basically started the browser will start connecting to internet, right? Now once it started connecting to internet, it is asking me to do a sign in, and a firewall page has opened where we have to put the username and password. So I'm putting my username password over here, so IT1, okay, and here I'm going to put the password over here, okay. So let's continue this. You will not be getting a proper message whether it's been authenticated properly or not, as this is not a full-fledged physical or licensed device. We are not going to expect that, but still let's see what messages. So right now it is empty. I guess some kind of authentication has been already done. Now we'll try to connect it and we'll see whether it's getting connected or not, okay. So let's open. Now as we can see, some of the internet pages are getting loaded. Open the Bing, we have it, so Bing, okay. So now we are able to get to internet, okay. Here if you try to understand where we can see that particular user is connected or not, so for that you have to go to, I guess, dashboard, and in the user monitor you will be seeing the IT user is connected, and this is the traffic, this is the method, from how long he is connected, all the information you will be seeing over here, okay. And if you want to deauthenticate him, you can just simply deauthenticate him here. Now if you go back to his screen and try to search it again, so mostly it will not work because it's been deauthenticated now, okay. I guess again you are going to get the same page, okay. So you have to authenticate it again, okay, same. And now if you try to search it, you will be able to get to the internet. So this is how basically the AD integration works, or I can say AD authentication works. So if you refresh this page mostly, now you will be getting the user again over here, okay. So guys, this is what I wanted to cover in this video. So what we have learned, AD authentication, and the mode was active, right? We'll try to understand the passive mode, how exactly it works, okay, in upcoming video. So if you like this video, or if you have learned something new, click on the like button. If you have faced any kind of issues related to this, or you are going to implement it in your network, try to comment that what exactly that you have faced, or any issue, or what you are planning to do, okay. And if you have any suggestion for my video, you can comment down, as well as you can send me an email or messages to Instagram or Facebook, will be helpful for me. And also I will request you to please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a video from me. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next.